them must realize their weaknesses and their strength. That's one of the things that forms great partnership. Now, for those of you who want to join us, it's up now, so you can go ahead and join us. So now, there's something that, is very vital in partnership, which is also vital in marriage, and that is coming together to form a great bond. But for you to do that, you must come to terms. Partners sit down and they analyze their strengths and their weaknesses in order to build an institution. They discover, oh, if Mr. A is here, then Mr. A is good with this. Mr. B is good with planning, strategic, planning. Mr. B is good with analysis. Mr. C is good with this. You see, each and every one of these persons have strengths and weaknesses. Now, wherever they are strong is where others may be weak. So what do? They bring together their strengths, and then they complement their weaknesses, because maybe Mr. A is not good with analysis, but Mr. B is good with analysis and strategic planning. Now, that is what forms a great company or a great institution. Now, in marriage is the same thing. Before couples get married, they should sit down and discover their strengths and their weaknesses. And one of these has to do in finances. The man should sit down. Don't be too proud to say, I'm not. Some men can be very proud. They say they may not tell you, I'm not good with managing finances. They'll tell you, I'm making the money now. Why are you bothered? I'm making the money. Money is meant to be spent. But you forget that it's no longer you. It's an institution that you're building with your wife, with someone you say you want to spend the rest of your life with. So at the end of the day, it's not about you any longer. Now, as much as money is meant to be spent, money is earned, or maybe you earn it and you need to spend it. But at the same time, there has to be cases, there has to be times of sitting down to analyze what is needed, to sit down and have a budget, have a plan, have a strategic composing force. Let me use that word. Now, it's very vital that when we come together, we analyze these things. Even in marriage, you must continue. If the man is a spender, then he is not good. It is not good for him to be, to handle money, even though he may be bringing in the money. If you know you're a spender, you have to be real. You have to be truthful to your spouse. Now, if the woman is the spender, it's not going to be very easy to just give her the money. The man has to be careful in how he gives her the money. Now, each couple is meant to be responsible to each other for the finances of the home. I'm not talking about maybe personal finances, but when it comes to the finances of running the home on a day-to-day basis, they are meant to be responsible to each other. They are meant to talk about it. They are meant to also analyze it. And they're meant to what? To come together and be able to synergize. Now, it's very important that couples talk about these issues. And it's as though we don't get to talk about it. They talk about it before they get married. And while they are married, they should talk about it. They should keep talking about it. They should find ways of dealing with it. Because if you don't deal with it, that's where issues of mismanagement in marriage comes up. Issues of trust, financial trust comes up, and issues of irresponsibility in the areas of finances come up. I have dealt with, issues where you see a man will say, I gave my wife so and so amount of money to start a business. Until today, she can't account for it. You hear things like, I gave my husband so and so amount of money to help pay the bills, and these bills are not paid, and it can't be accounted for. So these are issues that come up eventually in marriage. Why? Because they are not addressing the issue of finances. They are not sitting down to say, let's talk about this issue of finances. Everyone is keeping silent. It just has to be the man providing. The man has to provide. Whether I like it or not, it's the man that provides. Sometimes it's the woman that provides and the man is squandering. And it's not right. Because these things eventually produce problems. You see, sometimes there are pent-up anger. You see people in marriage who've had pent up anger, pent up resentment. Probably most of the issues couples have today has to do with finances. They're not dealing with their finances. They're not handling it properly. They're not talking about it. There is no form of communication when it comes to finances. And this can be very, very terrible. Like I said, both couples are meant to be accountable to each other in the areas of finances, especially when it comes to the day-to-day running of the home. Except when both parties consent to a different pattern of financial arrangement. For instance, the man may choose to say, okay, I don't want to do things like that. Okay, I don't care about your money. No matter what my wife is earning, I don't care. I'll provide everything. But if both of them come together and say we have to manage our resources because we want to be able to pull our families together, so the wife has to bring a certain amount of money and the man brings a certain amount of money, they must be accountable to each other. They must be. I remember dealing with a certain lady. She's not in the country. She's one of my followers and all that, and we're talking about certain things, and she told me, Pastor, my husband and I have an agreement. At the end of every month, this is we take care of our finances. I bring a certain amount of money. We take care of bills. It's not just the husband taking care of bills. And she told me so. She said, I earn more than my husband, and we split the bills. My husband pays a certain form of bills. I pay some bills, and we all agree. And there's peace, there's unity. You see, when these things are not addressed, eventually it's going to be a problem, because who picks the bills? Who pays the bills? And I've come to see some women, they say, well, his money is our money, my money is my money. I mean, who said that?
That's what they've been taught.
That's what they've been taught. And it's so wrong. And sometimes the man is suffering under the load of so much responsibility.
Go to school, get to a certain stage, you marry a rich man.
You marry a rich man. And you see young women waiting for rich men.
Exactly.
But they are poor. I was on social media one day, and someone was saying, Auntie, you that is looking for a man that has a car, you don't want to marry a man who doesn't have a car. Do you have a car? So is it wrong for you to have a car? Sometimes we put so much in this area of this part of our world, we put so much burden and responsibility and expectation on some people that it becomes so difficult for them to breathe.
Okay, so when I was actually looking at this particular topic, I was doing some research, then I realized that there was a part even said counting, how do you call it, more like your finances, even in your relationship and everything. And I know you just said, when you're married, you're supposed to be talking about your finances and everything. Because obviously, as a counselor, which you've actually been talking to a lot of young folks, at what stage? And pardon me, I know we are dealing with marriage, but as I said, almost everybody's actually more or less going to feel it but let me go around the courtship area. At what stage during very well, this is the one for me, this is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with? At what stage in that era can you actually have a conversation concerning your finances?
Immediately you realize that both of you want to get married, or there's already a proposal. Then if you talk about everything, why can't you talk about finances? You must talk about it. And it's sometimes it starts from the mindset. This whole thing about finances starts with the mindset. For instance, you see a man who is just getting to know a young woman, and she's already expecting him to pick her bills. And it's so wrong. In fact, a lady called me some time ago and said to me, she was talking to me about certain things, and I told her it is wrong for you to expect such a thing from a man that has not even married you. And she said to me, Pastor, that she went to a place and the preacher preaching said to young ladies, if a man is not going to pick your bills, then he's not worthy of it. And I'm like, whoa, where is it written? You see, if you read Proverbs 31, you see the virtuous woman, but you never see in the Bible the virtuous man. And there's so much outlined for the virtuous woman that she's also a businesswoman who brings in money to take care of the family. Now, in all that, we were not told about a virtuous man who brings in money, even though the Bible talks about a man who must take responsibility of his family. But also, a lot is expected of us women. Why should you, because you just met a guy and you think he's okay, then he takes you out on maybe a date or whatever, and you're pointing at things that you know that you can't buy, simply because he's taking you out. He says, okay, pick up something, pick up something. You see some ladies, so sometimes I see it as greed. The guy decides to take you, to an expensive restaurant simply because he wants to express, his love for you, and he wants to kind of settle down with you. And then you go through the menu and you are picking things that you know that on a good day you will not buy with your money. You will not spend. It's so unreasonable. Like, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. You want a 6-course meal at someone's expense. And then eventually when he's about getting to marry you, you are telling him of all the problems in your family. Now, you see some ladies, they are not telling the problems in their family because they want to talk about it. They are telling the guy the problems because they want the guy to pick all the bills. And then you see some families too. They expect their children, their daughters to marry so that their in-laws will come and start taking care of them. You see, this whole thing has to do with the family system and also the mindset. Why should you marry someone simply because you want him to pick your bills? You want him to be responsible. Yes, you want him to pay. And then probably some play along, and then when they get married to the lady, they will refuse to do those things, and you're angry. Well, he never wanted to do it. I've seen some women that such things happen. He never wanted to pick the bills, but he knew that the only way to marry you was to agree. So he agreed, and now he's married you, and he's refusing to pick the bills. You pick the bills of your family. And that brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about. In the case of, where they have to contribute to extended family members, it should be with mutual agreement. Because this issue of finances cuts across all quarters. It's not just between the husband and the wife. It also has to do with the extended family members. Sometimes they become a burden on these couples. The woman can't invest her money in her home because she's sending it home. Now, I'm not against such things. I don't have a problem with couples wanting to help their family members. But it should be with mutual agreement with your spouse. You see a man, he doesn't even let his wife know what he's earning. Why? Because he's still taking care of his uncles, aunties, brothers, half-brothers, step-brothers, all the brothers. I mean, he's taking care of the whole village.
Quick question. Allow me to actually go into this. Okay, now, with everybody who is listening right now, I know some people is going to trigger them with the question I'm about to ask. Whose responsibility is it supposed to take care? Who is supposed to take care of the in-law? Whose responsibility is to take care of the in-law? The lady's side.
From the lady's side. Whose responsibility is it to take care of the in-law? The in-law should take care of themselves.
Okay.
Yes, the in-law should take care of themselves. That is the truth. If they want to be taken care of, if the lady wants to take care of her in-laws, or if the man wants to take care of his mother, and as the case may be, these things should be with agreement. Yes. I said something last week. I said that, and I think I'm going to ask a question that triggered something along that line. And I said something very important. I said, I remember, I think last week or last week, I said, I remember a man who wanted to get married. Now, he's been helping his family, his in-laws. Now, he wants to get married. And what does he do? Immediately, he begins to tell them, I want to get married. So I'm going to give some of you some chunks of money so that you can be on your own. Because when I get married, I will not be able to help you like I used to help you. And he started giving some family members money. That is like telling you, goodbye. I will not handle your responsibility again. And he's settling each and every one of them. And he plans on getting married. That is reason. He's sitting his family down and saying, listen, I won't be able to carry your responsibility. So in my little way, this is what I'm going to give each and every one of you to be independent of me and my wife. So that when the woman comes in tomorrow and the man stops helping, everybody will not start saying, hey, this woman is a witch, oh. This woman is a this, oh. This woman, since she came, she has turned our brother's head. Who knows where she went to? Who knows where she took his picture to? Things like this come up. So the in-laws are meant to take care of themselves. But if the couples choose to take care of the in-laws, it should be at their discretion. Now, it is not obligatory that the man should take care of the wife's family simply because he married her. Your responsibility. Yes, you say, we are one now. My responsibility is his responsibility. No, that's not your responsibility. So it's not his. Whatever thing you're doing for your family, it's a choice. Now, you don't drag your spouse into it simply because you think we're married. Those things don't count. These things must be, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's good to help family, but let it be with mutual agreement amongst the spouse, amongst the couples, so that these things don't generate problem later on in the marriage. So these are things that, we must, look at. Each couple must look at it. Now, to another issue of finances. Nana, you want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Okay, so
please feel free to interrupt.
Okay, let's talk about the housewife and a woman who she loves business. She's an entrepreneur, but then she is not good with business. Now, we've got a lot of men might have opened first business, second business failed, third business failed, fourth business failed. But then she has the zeal, she wants to help out in the house. In scenarios or situations like this, how does the man actually help with the woman, or how does the woman come? How does she actually help her with the house?
Now, in such cases, I always advise, if your wife is business inclined but cannot manage money, then she needs help.
Okay.
She needs to either be taught on how to manage it, or you get someone, or you yourself can do it. Like, for instance, as I'm not a housewife. But do you know that there are issues when it comes to finances that I don't handle? It's not like I don't have the money sometimes, but I know my weaknesses and I know my husband's strength. And when it comes to how the money should be put in, where it's going to, I let him do that. Because I can have a certain size chunk of money, and if I don't discuss it with my husband, trust me, I can enter one place and dump the money there and move. Sometimes my husband is I'm trying to get the right word, checks and balance in my life. He knows that when it comes to money, he is more accountable than I am.
Okay.
Do you understand? This is an understanding both of us have. So when you know that your wife, she has the passion for business, that's why you are there. She has the passion, but she can't manage the money. So even when you give her money to invest in the business, it's not going to produce anything. Why? As passionate as she is, she's going to throw that money somehow. She's going to get into trouble. So it's either you help her out, or you get her to learn, or better still, you manage it for her. You can manage the business while she does it. She's doing it. I've had to teach some couples about it. I said, listen, put your eye on what your wife is doing if you know it's not going to produce money. So by the time she knows that she must give account to someone, though it's her business, but it's not her business. She has to give account to someone of how the business is run. She has, it's like a check. She becomes careful. She knows that this is my profit, this is my capital, this is the expenditure. She begins to learn these things. I know that I have to give account to my husband, whether it's my money or his. Somehow I have to tell him, I did this with this. Why did you do that? I just felt like, he said, no, don't feel like. I'm like, okay, sorry. He said, don't feel like it. You must do the right thing. And sometimes, it can be pretty annoying because, sometimes it's my money. But he's trying to get you to learn. And people should be open. Couples should be open to learn when it comes to finances, because some of the financial issues families are having today is because someone did not give account. People just spend money. They just couples spend money. It gets bad. And they're just spendthrifts. And at the end of the day, they're broke.
Truth.
They're broke.
Okay, Pastor,
okay.
so I have to ask here.
Yeah.
So we're talking about accountability. One partner is accountable to the other. What happens when none of them is accountable? Both of them are terrible at handling money. What does a couple do in that
Then they
situation?
have to sit down. If you know that both of you are terrible, you've got to sit down and deal with it.
Some of our last red flag, like
Yes.
of the relationship.
No, it's a red flag. But I mean, there are times that you can identify that both of you have a certain weakness
You know, Pastor Ozzy,
and sit down and address it.
there's a difference when the person is willing to invest, when the person is not even
Exactly.
ready to learn.
That's
Exactly.
the issue. If the person is not willing to learn, that's the issue. Both of you are just going to keep spending until you go bankrupt. And I've seen such couples just keep spending. The man is spending on the left, the wife is spending on the right. Then one day they wake up and they find out that they have not even a single penny to their name. And then their eyes open.
Okay, Pastor Z, how do they begin? How do couples begin the conversation about money? Because some people, it's really hard to start talking about money. Okay, this is how much I earn. This is what we should be doing. This is what we shouldn't be doing, especially when these conversations were not had at the beginning. So how do they begin going about having these conversations?
It's like a reality check. It's like telling yourself the truth. This marriage is not going to work if we keep doing this.
Truth.
It's not going to work because you are never going to be able to build anything. And of course, especially when you have children coming, how do you plan for those children? The children must go to school. The children must wear clothes. The bills must be paid. I mean, you have to have light. You have to have so many things, especially when, it's easy for both of you to just go by, anything goes. But when it comes to the issue of child coming in or children coming in, anything doesn't just go. Those kids must eat. Children don't know when there's money or when there's no money.
True.
They don't know when you have money to pay fees or not. So if you are not telling yourself the truth, you are just going to have problems.
True.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to deprive those children of their basic necessities, which is not right. Couples, if you're a spendthrift, both of you have to sit down. Okay, fine. We're not doing well in our finances. What do? We go back to your drawing board. Where are we not getting it right? How much are we earning? How much are we spending? Some people are such a spendthrift that they spend so much more than they earn. And they borrow to keep financing their weaknesses. You see people borrowing and borrowing. And sometimes you wonder, okay, what are they borrowing the money for? They're borrowing to spend.
Okay.
They're not borrowing to invest.
All right, Pastor Ozzy, I'm going to go a little bit off, but let's look at a family who is not too financially okay and not bad either. They are in between. They're doing amazingly well. That's your family. Let's call family planning in terms of okay, fine. Everybody knows family planning, but the number of children and the number of however you plan your life and children, number of kids you wanna. Does it actually play a role when it comes to your finance? Because a lot of families, okay, they turn to the low income family, but then they still feel like our finances is not that bad. We can still have more kids. And then we do have people who are doing amazingly well, but then they still be like, I think I'll just have 2 kids so I could have time. But then a lot of people are not really doing amazing well in their finances, but they tend. So I just want us to talk a bit around that too.
You see, first of all, it's very expedient that couples know the number of kids they want to have even before they get married. It will help you. Why do I say that? It's not about having 2 children or 5 children. It's about giving them quality life. Because whether you are up there or down there, for the one who's up there, there's what he calls quality. And for the one who is down there, has his own ratio and estimation of quality. And if you're someone who has, you understand the kind of life you want to give your children, then you know that, family is not about number. It's about what you can impact. So if you already have an estimate or, a visible knowledge of what you want, for instance, if you want your children to go to a certain school, and you know that in a term you're paying close to 500,000, my dear, you won't go having 5 children, except you just want them to go to any school. And gone are the days where we had good schools in public schools. No. So it's a whole new thing. Everything is changing. Now you want your kids to, to relate to certain things. You must be able to give them that quality life. You want to be able to take your children to vacation. You have to be able, if you have that kind of mindset, I want to be able to take my children to vacation, even if not outside the country, but within the country. Then you know what it takes to take a child for vacation.
Yeah.
You know that it's going to need money. You will need a lot of money. So these are things that people should project. Couples should project this even before getting married. Now, when you project this, it will help you in planning the number of children you want to have, because it also affects finances.
Okay.
If you don't project and work within that projection, you are going to have issues. And it's going to spill into your finances.
Okay.
Because you have to go doing things, or maybe even going to the extent that you didn't plan to go to, simply because you didn't project. So these are things that, and then sometimes some people say, even when we project and we have same sex. I mean, what's wrong with same sex? You have same sex, maybe you're having boys, you have boys,
You want to
2
do-
boys, 3 boys.
You want to
Okay,
mix it up.
I wanted 3 children. Assuming someone said I want 3 children, then you end up
2
having
girls,
3
1 boy.
boys. It's okay. Let me have one more.
Keep doing one more.
One more. And then at the end of the day, you've destroyed your projection. Now, against 3 children or 2 children, you have 4 children or 5 to grapple with. Now, how do you give them that life that you should give them?
Alright, so in case you just tuned in, 7 minutes past the hour is 10, you're still tuning to the voice of the people, Passion 94.5 FM. The show is known as The Bleach Show. Tonight, we are actually looking at counting the cost in marriage, and we are actually talking about dealing with your finances in your marriage. So, also, you can actually visit Pastor Ozzy's page, go on Pastor Ozzy's page on Facebook, join the conversation there, watch us live, or go on Facebook, Passion 94.5 FM Ujo. Alright, Pastor Ozzy. Now, a lot of couples are not really huge fans when it comes to split bills. Some will tell you they've had their fair share of it. Some of them, we don't know how they actually advise at the bank or their financial managers, what they actually tell them about. Now, when it comes to split bills, a lot of couples are going to be wondering, okay, how do couples actually, or how do they actually manage split bills? How do they actually work with that? And also, how important or how necessary is split bills?
It's very necessary to split bills. Now, it may not be so big, but you can look at, maybe if the man is doing well, better than the woman, you can allow her to pick up bills at her own pace, because splitting bills has to do with the kind of income that is coming in. If the man's income is much more than the woman's own, then it's expedient that he picks up more of the bills, and then gives the woman, some breathing space for lesser bills, so that it's not too much.
Okay.
You don't need to split the bills equally. You've got to understand the dynamics of the bills and your income. So when you understand these things, you'll be able to, know how to go about it. Okay, you're earning more. Even if the woman is earning more, there's nothing wrong with her, picking up some of the bills, but it doesn't make it her responsibility. She's doing it out of love. Okay? It doesn't. If the woman picks up more bills simply because she's earning more, it doesn't make it her responsibility. She's doing it out of love, so that the man doesn't wake up and see it as her responsibility. So that he knows that for peradventure things change for you. You are supposed to be doing these things. I'm only doing that to support you, to complement you, and of course to be the helper that God created me to be. So it's about understanding. The issue of splitting bills has to do with understanding, one, and secondly, understanding the dynamics of the bills and the income to which both of them, are entitled to at a time. And also, I want to talk about, in view of that, I want to talk about joint account and joint businesses. Couples have had issues with that. They say, okay, we want to do a joint account. And then they go into joint account. And then midway, some of them start having issues. Now, if for any reason, one of them wakes up and realizes that for whatever reason, he or she, I don't want to do again. No, it shouldn't affect the marriage relationship, because this is finances. The woman is not supposed to get angry simply because the husband says, I don't want to run a joint account any longer. I don't want to. Because sometimes, when in this issue of joint account, sometimes the one who, sometimes the one who is bringing in more money ends up sacrificing so much. The one who is bringing in more money end up seeing the one that is bringing lesser spending more. It happens. You see, sometimes the woman may be bringing in more money and the man is spending more. And then the issue of joint account, I always advise couples, them do not leave one person to be signatory to the account. If you're going to run joint account and be accountable to each other, whether you're bringing in more and the other is bringing in less, it's only proper that both of you are signatories to avoid stories that touch the heart. Because one day one person can decide to pack all the money and make a run for it. So it's expedient that both of you are signatories to that joint account. Now, to joint business ventures, it's also important to realize that you must separate business from family. Now, because both of you are running the same business, or maybe the woman is privileged of being in the business with her husband, it doesn't mean you just wake up and take money. Even though there may be issues at home. Whatever monies that you're taking must be with the consent of the other. So that at the end of the day, you're knowing your capital, your expenditure, and also your profit. Because someone can just wake up, because both of you are, it's our business now. It's our business. And then you just go take a large chunk of money. You're going to kill that business. It's what I call family squandering. The family squandering the business. Because the business is supposed to grow to a certain level where the business is on its own, thriving on its own, being sustained on its own. Now, if you are squandering it amongst yourself, it's not going to grow. So it's just going to just keep going down, or eventually it dies. So the issue of the issue of joint account and joint investment, if both of you decide that you don't want to continue, it should not affect the marriage relationship. That's business. Separate business from marriage. Separate emotion from reality. It shouldn't affect the relationship at home. Okay, fine, he doesn't want to. Okay, no. It shouldn't make you see some women, okay, it say in the night, or maybe the husband say, honey, I want to touch you. So I want you to touch me. Are you not the one who separated us? You refuse. You are looking.
The man wants to buy the cloth. The rest of the cloth.
And, no, that one is even buying. You see some people getting angry. I mean, you are bringing finances into the real marriage. For Christ's sake, if he were your boss, come to think of it, if both of you were just ordinary partners and not married, and one of you wakes up and say, I don't want to continue with the business, are you going to have a problem with that? You let him go, right?
Of course.
So why is it because both of you are married and one person say, I don't want to continue, then you bring your grievances and then spill it into the marriage? I mean, that's immaturity. So both of you must sit down and iron the differences. If you say he doesn't want to continue, fine, okay. Why don't you want to continue? Even if he doesn't give you reasons, fine, let it go. But be mature enough to not let it affect your married relationship. Because it's not necessary. It's really not necessary. So, and that takes me to the issue of budget. Now,
Okay, so I want to ask you, so what happens where one partner is very, very much interested in, budgeting and making their finances right, while the other person is really not interested? We're making money. The excuse might be, we're making money. Why stress yourself to go through all of that? We're making money, we're okay. We're fine the way we are. So what happens when one partner is not interested in, taking note of finances and doing all the checks and balances, and one partner is?
If you say that, then first look at the person's, individual life. How does he fare? How does he go by without making budgets? He spends unnecessarily. At the end of the day, he has overspent, and he doesn't know when to stop. And what is a company without a budget? What is a country without a budget? What is a state without a budget? So what's a family without a budget? Budget is more like a projection of how much you want to spend at a given time based on what you have.
Yeah.
So if you do not sit down to, okay, this is how much we should spend in the month of October. If we have 200,000 coming in, we should be able to spend 100,000 or 150,000 as the case may be, and put away 20,000 as savings, and then have 30,000, at the end of the day, it's going to go bad. And if you're a woman or a man and you believe in budgeting and the other person doesn't believe in it, you just have to have a way to go around it. Either you find a way to budget for yourself so that you're not caught in the middle. So these things, it's about understanding, and it's very necessary.
All right, before the show continues, let's go on a break, and when we come back, the show actually continues. Don't forget, you can also send a message to 0906009455, or you can just write down your message, and in case you got anything going on, you want to share your experience concerning tonight's topic, or you've got questions to ask, you can also send a message to that number. And don't forget to also go on Pastor Ozzy's page to also do the same. Also just drop a comment there and we will read it. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
How long is the advert? I want to use my phone.
Pardon?
How long is the advert? Let me use my phone.
5 minutes or 1 minute, 1 minute, 5 minutes.
I can make it.
Okay.
Please, could you turn it to AC?
Which one is better now?
You have to plan. Even in my single life like this, I still plan every small money that enters my hand.
It's a red flag because that's why even if I'm dating you, like I'm still look at your finances. I ask myself, if I got that the love, oh my life can just cover you. But then I always tell myself, I'm fucking broke.
I can't.
That's why there's nothing. I'm not going to do that journey of let's work together and do it together. If you're going to do that journey, bring money. Like make sure you also have your part of it. I'm not trying to be so extremely rich, but be comfortable. You too comfortable. We come together and
At
do the
least.
I'm not doing that. You don't have anything now. I'm not doing that thing.
Hey, if you have money, let's just no. What is your
Those
plan?
that are enjoying, I do have to
Lots of people just going and we're making money now, so why stress to do all of these things?
This message now from Ministry of Information and Strategy, Equality State.
Another cough medicine you want buy. Why you don't do the test? Why say me go do?
Every cough be COVID-19. COVID-19 will be different from other sickness like tuberculosis. Oh God, make you go check this your cough. The last time I get this kind of year cough, when nobody go. Now madam Pierre tell me say make I go do test. When all the cough syrup where they drink nobody work, they come to me free test. And the cough show say I get tuberculosis. The medicine when they give me, all are free. Now see, I don't well have it.
Now check na this to stop. Go check am. Make you dey sure because no.
Check that cough for tuberculosis.
If God don't worry you pass through it, if you have tuberculosis, TB test and treatment na free. Call the National TB Hotline for 3340 to get better information of where you fit do the test. This message na from the Federal Ministry of Health with support from American people.
Hey, are you new in town or you're looking for a comfortable, safe and standard accommodation? Tranquility Hotels Limited meets your need. Located in a serene environment.
Is it not that one that the trans have gone out to the quality quality hotel? Disciples, the trans has gone out.
Bar and restaurant, bar
It should be
Barbecue and
Quality
Laundry
Hotel.
Services. Tranquility Hotels Limited, located at number 5 Sondo Bros Road, Numoku, off Akanunguru, Akwa Ibom State, is in compliance with the Akwa Ibom State COVID-19 protocols and has also made provisions for hand washing stations, hand sanitizers, and temperature detecting devices. For booking, reservation, and inquiries, please call 0817 2071 400, 0817 2071 399, and 0817 2071 401. Tranquility Hotels Limited. Comfort away from home.
Passion 94.5 FM. Manaba Mo. Canada baby can call Karam Karenin. Ameriona, I see Nam Abido Kusene Fiona Medu, Coffee on Loki, so 2021. Ama make you Kiribo Yoke Medu, a Frefernin, a Yay Long Packen can Karenin back a Kaiki walk. Ini walk, Ikora Pabon, Imani Sanki walk, Itiambio Esanke Korabasi Pasokam Karenin. Amy call Feffen Bonsin on the Medo, Aquarium State Environmental and Waste Management Agency. He called me Michael Hotel and Golf Resort, who go electricals. Silver Bed Cinema, Silver Line Table Water,
Nana,
Tantalizers,
can you send me downstairs picture?
Construction, Danny Johnson Photography, Jojo Farms, Nigerian Medical Association, Koro, Ovaldo Police, Aid Young in the Nigerian Police Force, Frefre Moro, Edo Mosino, Passion 94.5 FM, Ibere, Cool Freo, Kena Fokama, Mukofri, Wam, for award it, Edo, Imido on through for camera ready to you boys, you could hand sanitizer, by preferring in American COVID-19. Imidium Yakawadi, Afford and Barato, Inam Yankan Kungina Sama, Akarakan Kiwi, Debbie Pat campaign in the Passion 94.5 FM, Afritian Ado, Awawawa, Afritian Asana, Afritian Anna back and song in Passion 94.5 FM.
Yeah?
Allow me to introduce myself. I
Eh?
am 94.5.
Are you?
Voice of the people.
Wake up to.
Are you ready?
I was arranging my bag. So you are seeing it. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Welcome back to the Police Show, right here on the Voice of the People, Passion 94.5 FM, 23 minutes past the hour is 10. And tonight we are looking at counting the cost in marriage. We're actually looking at dealing with your finances in your marriage. Now, before we open phone lines, Pastor Ozzy, we're about to dwell into budgets. So probably we could finish that, then we could open phone line for people to share their view.
So I was saying before we went on the short break that it's very important and expedient that couples should have budgets. They should look at their income, look at what they're getting in, and be able to project. Budget is more like a projection. It's not like it's a hard and fast rule, but you should project. This is what we want to do. This is how we want to do it, and this is when we want to do it. So it actually helps them to keep tab of their expenses and not, go beyond or above their limits. So somehow budget is good, and most times budget is not about how much you have. Budget can also be about what you really want to achieve at a certain time. It may not just be, I have 1 million or I have 5 million. Most times about, okay, I want to be able to do this when I get certain amount of money. So it keeps you like in check, okay, so that when the money comes in, you are able to know that this is what I budgeted this money for. Sometimes if you don't budget for certain things, when the money actually comes in, you could use them or use the money wrongly. So it's very, very important that couples learn to budget and not be overcome by themselves and certain things that they are trying to do. Don't be a spendthrift, and don't be too overcome with getting certain things that are not necessary, because budget helps you to not go for the things that are unnecessary. Sometimes people go for what is unnecessary. They buy things that they don't need at the time. Why? Because they don't have that projection. They are not prepared. They are not budgeting for their expenditures at, at a certain time. So it's very important.
Okay. All right. You can also join the conversation. Let us know what you think about tonight's topic, or in case you've got questions to ask, you can also do the same to 0906 000 4945 0906 000 5945, and you can also send a text message to 0906 000 9455, and don't forget to also go on Pastor Oz's page, join the conversation there, or on Passion 94.5 FM. Hello.
Hello. Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yeah, good evening.
Your name? Alright, Idom, please go ahead. Mm. Mm. Okay. Alright, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate you. Hello, good evening. Okay, keep the calls coming through 0906 0004 945. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from? Okay. Alright, please go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead. Mm. Oh, welcome to the show. Mm. Hello? Okay, if you do want to give us a call back, 0906 0005 94 and 5. Hello, good evening. Hello? Okay.
And you can also send a text message to 0906 000 9455.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Could you turn down the volume on your radio set? What is happening? Do also give us a call back, or you could send a text message to 0906 0009 455. Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Alright, please talk to us.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's good that it is a man like you that is saying it, because if it were a woman saying it, they say women. It's good that it's a man. Yes, yes.
Um, please,
Okay.
you don't have to use those words on radio.
Yeah,
okay?
strong words.
No, you don't have to. Just say okay. All right. Thank you so much for calling. All right. First of all, just to let you know, please be mindful of your choice on
Yeah, very
radio, and
important.
let's try to respect each other. It kind of works that way. All right. 0906 000 4945 5945. You can tell us you don't have problems in your married when it comes to finances. So this is a chance for you to actually ask all the questions, react to most of the statement being made, and of course I know a lot of us are actually learning, but let's ask questions. And also you can also send a text message to 0906 000 9455.
Hello, good evening. Hello. Okay. Do also give us a call back. Hello, good evening.
All right, Pastor Ozzy,
Okay.
you can actually go. All right, so sorry.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Alright, Mano, please go ahead. Hello. Okay.
What is happening?
What is happening?
All right, again.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
You there? Good evening.
Okay. All right. So we don't know what's happening, but you can also send a text message to 0906 000 9455, and the phone lines, we're going to try that again, to 0906 000 4945.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Okay, please go ahead. Okay. Amen. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, please call. Okay.
You cut him
No,
off.
actually, kept quiet. So actually, it was actually done. That's right. Please kindly
Sincerely
call back if you
apologize.
can. Please kindly call back.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Alright, Israel, please go ahead. Oh my, what is happening? Hello, good evening. Hello. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Alright, Hezekiah, please go ahead.
then the one is able to manage the money properly to give the one, while the other person knows account of the finance, was adopted for all members of the family. Now, I want to discuss them properly. Biblical, biblical and God standard is to be in charge of the money. Who is to supervise the financial aspect of the family?
Hold on. Has he left? Or
No,
has
he's still on.
Now, when you talk about biblical, what do you mean by because the Bible you quoted here is it doesn't state anything about finances. So please explain what you mean so that I can answer. When you say biblically, you were really stressing the biblical aspect. Can you please explain? You said biblically, according to the Bible.
Hello, can you hear us?
Numbers 30 verse what? Verse what? What verse? Numbers 30, what verse? What verse? You must narrow it down to a verse. The numbers is full of. You can't quote, you can't take a Bible, a word of God out of context and expect me to analyze it. You have to tell me what it is you're trying to say so I can understand. You're quoting something you're taking it out of context. You said if she vowed in her husband's house or bound herself by an agreement with an oath, and her husband heard it and made no response to her and did not overrule her, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement by which she bound herself shall stand. It's not talking about finances, it's talking about vows. Okay? Now, based on that, that's why I said you don't take the word of God out of context. There is no, listen. You don't, according to God's plan, the man is the head of the home. But God didn't say the man is the head of the finances. Now, I said, if you listen very well, I said with consensual agreement, they must consent. Both of them must consent. The man can decide that he's not good at handling the money, so let his wife manage the money while he's making it. Both of them have to consent. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's not about who is making or who is not making. It's about both of them consenting. Okay, this is how we'll manage it. That's what I said. Did you follow the program from the beginning? Did you follow the program from the beginning? Yeah, if you had started from the beginning when I started by 9:34, I said both of them are accountable to each other. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, good evening. Hello. Good evening. What's your name? Emmanuel, you're welcome. Please go ahead.
Madam, I just think I'm advice from you. I'm happy to leave this program. Since I have a challenge, into what I was about to get married, but I have challenge. This is my challenge. I went for introduction, which is yes, I went to introduction. So after the introduction, when I came back, all of a sudden, in short, we all started hearing about the thing about the introduction time. The whole of my business crumbled. Somebody that had up to it from a million plus. Before you know, everything just went down. I had nothing to do up with it. Even I'm struggling today. But I've already started the procedure of getting married to the girl. So the whole thing, even me, I'm afraid to lose that. I'm afraid of losing her because I love her so much. And I can see, and I also see seriousness in her. It's not that she's doing anything to me or doing anything that to them. I don't just understand why this kind of thing that is happening to me. So I'm so much to talk. Every day like that, we be taking challenge from one challenge to the other, one challenge to the other, the other. It's not in any other thing, just in my financial aspect. Very matter.
Now, hold on. Before you go, what's your name? Okay, Emmanuel. Now, you see, if you really listen, when we started, we say counting the cost. Now,
Hello, hello.
I said if you listen,
I can't hear you well. Let me control that I can hear you very well because I'm hearing you on my phone.
okay. But I would have loved you to stay on because there are some questions I would like to ask you. I would have loved you to stay on.
Okay, go on.
Now, when after the introduction, Emmanuel, did you count the cost? Were there some things you started embarking on outside your business that affected your finances?
Please, I can't hear you.
Okay, cut off. Go ahead and cut off. Now, this is the whole thing. This is the whole idea. Emmanuel, after his introduction, started having some financial challenges. Now, what were those challenges? How did they come up? How did he handle his finances after he had, gone to make his intentions known? These are things that he should look at. It's not about things just went bad and things. No. There's another thing I wanted to talk about, before we gave room for people to start calling in. You see, there's something I always tell couples: when you are single, there's a tendency for your finances to soar because it's just you're taking care of only yourself. But when you get married, things begin to change, and most couples find it difficult to adapt to the new status of having someone in their lives. For instance, if you're someone who's working, for the man, if you're working and you're earning a certain amount of money, now when you were single, that money would have meant a lot to you, that it could comfortably and conveniently take care of you as a person. But when you get married, you're still earning that same amount of money, but this time you have someone else added to you. That's a responsibility. The money may not be increased, it's still the same amount of money. But the truth is, it's going to be a bit difficult for you to adapt because you realize that that money is no longer enough. So you see, that transient, that transitioning is always very difficult for some couples. They find it difficult to transition financially. I've had a lot of couples complain about having issues financially after they were married. Oh, things are not working well. Oh, things are depleting. Oh, this, all that. You need to first of all have a soul search, a reality search. Why? First check why. Probably because there are a lot of responsibility now. And sometimes some of them even go as far as taking on the responsibilities of their spouses, and it begins to affect them financially. But when they were alone, they were doing well. So consider that, and probably you have your answers.
All right. Hello, good evening. Good evening. What's your name? Good evening. What's your name? Hello. Okay, Itero, go ahead. Please go ahead, Itoro. We are listening.
And maybe your partner is the one that's supposed to control the financial aspect. And in a situation like you don't have paid or you don't do all that financial aspect, you continue to hang over the financial
No, you can't. If you don't trust your partner, that's an issue. If you don't trust your partner, it's an that's the truth.
once there is no cooperation and understanding, I don't think that they can be able to handle the financial aspect.
That is the truth, and that is the truth. And when I started, I said something. I said that when couples come together in the area of finances, they must be able to check so many things, because when they are accountable to each other, trust is built. Okay? Now, if you don't trust your spouse to handle or to manage the finances, you've got to find a way to manage it yourself without having to have issues with managing it. You can give her certain amount of money for herself or maybe for the family, but you don't leave the management of the finances for the home to her because you don't trust her. So you now need to, you see, when there's no trust and someone is making more, the person has to adjust and also begin to learn to minimize his or her spending pattern. If you don't do that, since you can't trust your partner to do it, you have to force yourself to do it. Manage the way you spend money. Learn to not spend unnecessarily, so that at the end of the day, there's peace in the home.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a few minutes to go. Text message.
Yes, so it says, good evening, Nana. Good evening, Amma and Pastor Zioma. I love you all, and I love this topic. God stand by name. I'm about to wed on the 28th of November. And God blessed me with money. I am a businessman. I have a car. Not one, but my wife to be said I should buy a new Jeep for her before the wedding. To be frank, I love my wife, but Pastor, I have a way of doing things and I cannot do that. Money is not the problem, but I cannot do that. She should use the car we have. I'm saying she should use the car we have. What should I do?
She should use the car you have. If you start giving in to her whims and caprices now, you will continue to do that. A woman that's not come into the family and she's already asking you for a Jeep. Trust me, when you are married to her, she will ask you for a jet, even when you can't afford it. Men, you see, there's this thing I've always talked about being able to stamp out your feet in marriage, especially for the men. Know when to say no. Know when to be a man. I'm not saying you should take it overboard, but sometimes some women can be unnecessarily, unfathomable. I mean, this guy has not married you and you're asking him for a Jeep. It's unthinkable. If he wants to buy you a Jeep or buy a car for you, let it be at his discretion, not because you are setting that as a standard. And also, this is a red flag for you if you want to be realistic to yourself. This is a red flag. As much as you want to marry her 28th of November and blah blah blah, and you are in love with her, and this love is not enough. I keep saying this, especially for those of you getting married. Love is not enough. There are things that you must sit down and iron out. If you know that the woman or the man you want to marry is someone that has tendencies of being greedy, your love for that person may never take greed away. So there are issues that should be addressed. Love should make you sit down and address the issues, the red flags you see in your spouse or in your wife to be or your husband to be. Don't sweep it under the carpet, because eventually it's going to be matters arising.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, good evening. All right.
Okay, so we've got a few minutes to go. 0906004945.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from. Okay.
Okay, Ma, go ahead. I didn't say Ima, I didn't say you mismanaged the money. I said that you've not been able to transition because listen, you've gone for introduction, but apparently both of you are already like living together, right? Good. So you've already started taking up her responsibility. And some of the Now you're talking. Now you're talking. I told you that there are things that are coming. Hold on, Emmanuel. There are things that are coming up.
Secondly, no, let me finish.
No.
And secondly, the only way they use even to the friend. If you trusted the friend so much, all of the sudden the friend gives you and it will be some of part of your money. And things started happening like that here and there, here and there. It's not that the, the responsibility of the girl, neither the responsibility of the husband. I understand this, but those are exactly what happened to me, what I said.
Now, I said I gave listen, Emmanuel, I gave options. I said either the responsibility or there are certain challenges coming up that you've not been able to handle. You need to pay attention to what I say. I said, look at these things. If it's not the responsibility, then there are certain challenges that are coming up. You said, in fact, the impression you gave us when you started was that ever since you did her introduction, things have been going bad. So it's more like you're attributing the things going bad to her, or maybe to, you marrying her or you getting to know her. And I said to you, there are two options. If you are noticing this, it's either maybe you're picking up responsibilities and you've not been able to transition. That's one. Or there are certain challenges coming up that you've not been able to handle and it's affecting your finances. This has nothing to do with her or anything, but you going back to the drawing board to analyze what's happening. And now you've come back to tell us that you were robbed. Fine, that's enough reason why someone can be depleted. And then someone duped you. These are reasons why you can be depleted. Now, these things can happen to anybody. It can happen. So all you need to do is to pick up the bits and pieces of your life, keep trusting God, keep praying, and persevere. Okay? You're going to pick it up again.
Right. Hello, good evening. Hello. Good evening, what's your name? Good evening, what's your name?
Hello, good evening. Your name and where you're calling us from? Okay.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening, what's your name? Alright, Godwin, you're welcome. Kindly go ahead. Okay, you're welcome. Okay. Alright, thank you. Okay, okay. Alright, just to let you know, remember, you're not supposed to actually comment on anybody's problem. The person actually does that alone. Thank you so much for calling. Hello, good evening. Good evening. What's your name, please? What's your name? Your name and where you're calling from, please. Arch, you're welcome. Kindly go ahead. You're not supposed to advise anyone, please. You're not supposed to advise anyone. All right, thank you very much. As I said, you're not supposed to actually give an advice. Okay, Amma.
Yeah, we have this message here. Good evening, Pastor. Please, Pastor, how do I educate my wife on this issue of budgeting because she is not interested in budgeting? Kufra from Uyo.
Well, you have to do it. You have to keep doing the budgeting until maybe one day she just learns. You have to keep doing the budgeting, and also it's proper for me to advise couples. Now, if your spouse is not really into that budgeting, all you need to do is keep doing the projections yourself and let your spouse see that it's working for you. Probably they will have a change of heart when they see it's working for you and you're making do with it and it's working. for the women especially, sometimes I've seen some women, I've heard some women say, I want my husband to give me money to start a business. And most times you don't budget for that business, you just want him to give you money. You don't know if he has the money, and you're on him. Let him give me money, let him give me. But do you know that with budgeting, such things can be included? It may not be immediately, but in the course of time, he can get around it. You see, when he budgets, okay, I'm going to give you money, but not now. Give me some time, and then some adjustments are made. So it's very necessary. It's expedient that couples look at. Like I said, budgeting is not about just projecting based on what you have. It could also be projecting based on what you are expecting to accomplish. So it's very important.
Okay, so we could do one more call, the last call, and we are done for this. Hello, good evening. Your name? Where you calling from?
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name, please?
My name is Emma.
Your last caller. What? Go ahead.
Please. Is a girl actually in love?
I hope it's not a relationship.
My wife to be.
Your wife?
Want to marry.
When are you getting married to her? No, we're just trying to avoid, because we are dealing more those in courtship and those getting and those married, not relationship. Relationship is for Monday, so that's what I'm asking.
Okay, well, I just met her for a while. I'm close to her. Right inside me, I'm not married. I want to marry her. She's my after my house.
So what is the problem? Go ahead.
The problem is that wherever she and I staying together.
You're staying together.
Yeah.
Interesting. Red flag. Go ahead.
So, for now, I have no money to run her mind. But she's bringing me to man.
See her family.
Yes, you understand?
Yeah, because you've already colonized her as your wife since both of you are living together. So she has a right to tell you to come and see her family.
She's your flatmate.
Both of you are not you are roommates. In fact, you are beyond roommates.
Says
Abi. Let me tell you something. You projecting to marry a lady. You've proposed to her. But you know that you are not ready financially. And both of you are already living together. I mean, what do you envision your life to be like? You're already living together. So she has a right to tell you to come and see her, to pressure you to come and see her parents. Now you've taken off, right? She has a right. Come to think of it, you take her and keep her in your house. And of course, being in your house, she's playing the wife role already. Probably washing your clothes, giving you food, and giving you the other part. Brother, go and see her parents.
Okay, let's pick this one. Hello, you're my last caller. What's your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. What's your name?
Udoka.
Okay.
Alright. Okay.
My challenge is, I really want you to go and go. My challenge is, if somebody has a married one and has a wife and you leave the shop to the wife, and now they are going your work, when later coming back, your wife giving you a story, the money is finished, it's starting to tell your life to what I will do. That kind of issue.
Why would you leave your shop to your wife? Why would you leave your shop to your wife? I said you must separate business from family.
I leave the shop to my wife.
That's what I'm saying. Why did you leave your shop to your wife? Did you leave your shop? Hold on. Are you leaving your shop to your wife because you believe she will grow the business? Hold. Udoka, can you listen to me? Let me ask you a question. Are you leaving the shop for your wife, believing that she's going to grow the business? Or you're leaving the shop to your wife because she's your wife?
Yeah.
You see, that's the problem. You left the shop to your wife, so your wife can tell you there's no money. But if you left the shop to your wife, knowing that she has the ability to grow the business, then when you come home, you will see money, and the business will take a U-turn. So you must. I said this thing. When was that? You must distinguish between these things. Don't bring sentiment into business. You know your wife can't handle the business. You left your shop for her. So why would she tell you there is money? By the time you go and come back, she squanders your money and tells you there is no money. She expects you to bring more money and put in the business so that she can squander. Are you there, Doka? Are you there? So don't be offended. You don't need to be angry. That's her ATM. That is we're explaining. I said because you know that she does not have what it takes to keep that business. Why did you send her there? You know. My brother, you don't try when it comes to finances. You are either doing or not doing. You don't try. Listen, even at home, you know your wife that she's not competent with finances. Some of the monies you've given her, you don't know what she does with it. And then you hand over a business that you have established and you are running to her. What do you expect her to do? She will squander it. And don't tell me you want to try. No. You don't try. You don't establish a business and hand it over to someone who is incompetent simply because she's your wife. You don't establish a business and hand it over to your brother or your sisters simply because you're related to them. No, they will squander it and there's nothing you can do. You will get angry for all the world, but you have to live with it and swallow it. So, my brother, tell yourself the truth. Your wife can't even handle the monies you give her at home effectively. Is it that business that she will handle?
So where's the way forward now?
The way forward is... It's gone now. It's gone. There's nothing you can do. She's your wife. So it's either you wake up and tell her, okay, madam, don't worry. I don't want you in that business again. Leave it. Let's stay, do your own, find your own thing and do. Tell yourself the truth. She can't handle the business. And it's hurting you. You are hurting. Because you spend so much and expect to see something. At the end of the day, she tells you no money. So don't hand over your business to your wife simply because she's your wife. Don't do it. You still have time to stop it, to save things. Look for a way, to reinvest in that business. Look for someone who will be accountable for you. If you have to pay the person, pay the person. And also, before you hand over business to people, make sure you have a stock. Write down what is in that business, in that shop. You should take stock of what is there. She will not allow it. So who is the man in the home? Who is the man in the home? Is she the man or you are the man? Good. Now stand your ground as the man. Stand your ground as a man. Yes. If you are the man of your home, then stand as a man of your home. If you tell your wife, don't enter that shop, and she enters the shop, she's looking for trouble. It's wrong. If you're a man, stand as a man. Let your wife know that these are no-go areas for her when it comes to her husband. You have a right to say, I don't want my wife. I said it before, that people can separate. They can decide, I don't want you again. So you can't fire her. You can't fire her because she's your wife. But if it's another person, you fire the person. Then you will not fire her. So fire her. Tell her that you don't need her services any longer. This will... You see that it's going to be an issue for you because now, well, I've told you, you have to stand your ground as a man. Stand your ground as a man and let her respect that.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
You're welcome. All right, I guess that is it for tonight. Pastor Rosie, your parting shot on this.
You see, I've often said this over and over, and I will say it again. You see, sometimes couples don't know where to draw the line, and it starts from the initial stages. When the man does not know where to draw the line, at the end of the day, the woman takes him for granted. We must have boundaries. The man should be the head and stay the head. You are the one offering leadership position or leadership in the home. So when you tell your wife, don't do this, she should listen. That's submission. She should listen. I always encourage, especially when you know that he's doing it for your good. It's just like the one that said that the fiancé or the girlfriend or whatever wants a Jeep. If he does not learn to stamp out his feet now, that lady is going to marry him. She's going to come with that mindset into the home, and she's going to make unnecessary demands and expect that he meets it whether he likes it or not. Draw the line. Let your yea be your yea and your nay your nay. That's what the Bible says. Draw the line and say, listen, madam, we may be married, but this, I don't want it in my house. I gave an illustration of a friend of mine some time ago who would never keep her parents' house clean. I think I've given that illustration. She never keeps her parents' house clean. She would, and she was into confectionery. She would do a lot of things and would leave it for her siblings. She would say, after I used to bribe them, you give them cake and all sorts of things to clean up. But do you know that when I went to her fiancé, at that time they were just about getting married. She got married before me. When I went to the guy's house to meet her, because she had to make a quick cake for someone and her gas had finished, the gas at home had finished, so she ran to the guy's house, pleaded with the guy to use the gas. I was there. When she finished, I saw her cleaning up. I said, babe, what are you doing? He said, if this is my husband, she come back and see one single drop of cake on the floor, hey, I am dead. I said, are you serious? The man made it clear that there are some things that he doesn't want, and if she will not abide by it, let's call it quits. And she learned. One of the things that brought checks and balances in her life was her husband. In her home, in her matrimonial home, she learned to stay in her lane. We all need to learn to stay in our lane. Finances, the same thing. Know where to draw the line when it comes to business and marriage. Know where to draw the line when it comes to monies, joint accounts, savings, whatever, and marriage. These are things that couples need to know. And stand out, make your communications known. Talk about it. Talk about the things you want, the things you don't want. And if you know that joint account is going to be an issue, forget it. Joint business, if it's going to be an issue, forget it. So as to avoid, clash of interest. And finally, I want to say on this note, couples are not competitors. I've said this before. Husband and wives, you are in marriage to work together, to work as one, to work in understanding, and to be synergized. You are not in marriage to compete. You're not competing amongst yourself. It's not marriage is not competition. Marriage is a work of love, understanding, and all whatnot. So please, let's forget the competition and leave it for outside. Let's work on our marriages. And I pray that the good Lord grants you the wisdom to make the right decisions, the right choices, to draw the line, and to work in understanding and love. I take authority over every destructive spirit in the lives, the homes of our listeners, in the name of Jesus. And I pray that even those who are not married, they have the understanding to make the right decisions and to abide by it. In Jesus' name, amen. So do well to go to my official Facebook page. Want me to talk about is at Pastor Ozzy, at PASTOROZI. You write them together, at the A that has a circle, PASTOROZI. You can as well follow me on Instagram. My IG account is still at Pastor Ozzy. Thank you very much, Nana and Alma. And
Thank you for coming.
good night, everyone. Remain blessed.
Yeah, exactly. And just to remind you, next week happens to be the last Wednesday. So last, not like the last day, but then the last Wednesday of the month of October. So that means we got 3 sessions. So in case you got anything, just try to keep it on Wednesday. And when Pastor Ozzy comes, of course, your free counseling comes your way. Thank you so much once again, Pastor Ozzy. Let's do the same time next week, same station, right here on the Voice of the People. And in case probably you were a bit late, your questions, you can actually also drop it to 0906 000 9455, and then guess what, we'll actually make sure she gets it. Thank you so much once again. Don't forget, you still tune into the Bleach Show right here on the Voice of the People.